No family in history squandered their immense wealth quite as spectacularly as the Vanderbilts, a dynasty so unbelievably rich they practically defined American opulence. They poured millions into extravagant mansions, dazzling yachts, haute couture, and endless glittering parties. On the surface, it seemed like a fairy tale of boundless fortune, but the truth hidden beneath that gilded facade was far darker than anyone ever realized. So what truly happened to this magnificent empire? And why did a family once so powerful utterly collapse? The story of the Vanderbilt family begins in 1650, when a man named Jan Uertzen arrived in America from the Netherlands. He was merely a servant, working for a wealthy family known as the Van Couwenhovens. This new life granted him a new name, and from that moment one of the most recognizable names in history was born. Jan took the Dutch word van, meaning from, and combined it with the name of his hometown, De Bilt, to form the surname Vanderbilt. However, it took a long time before the Vanderbilt family attained its immense fame, and later, its notorious infamy. The first individual to truly amass a fortune for this family was Jan's fourth-generation descendant, Cornelius Vanderbilt, better known as the Commodore. He rose from humble beginnings on Staten Island to become extraordinarily wealthy in the shipping and railroad industries by the mid-19th centuries. By 1877, the Commodore, ravaged by illness, was living out his final days. For 8 months, he rarely left his home. As he lay on his deathbed, he possessed an immense fortune exceeding $100 million, which today would be worth over $3 billion. But before his passing, he made crucial decisions regarding this colossal wealth. He dedicated $1 million to establish Vanderbilt University in Nashville. Then he faced the daunting task of distributing the remainder among his considerable collection of potential heirs. When the will was read, the entire family likely couldn't believe their eyes. The Commodore shocked everyone by leaving almost his entire fortune to just one sole heir, his eldest son, William Henry Vanderbilt, also known as Billy. Unsurprisingly, the rest of the family was absolutely furious, and more than that, suspicious. After all, there was another son and 9 daughters who received nothing. They weren't about to sit idly by, and 3 of Billy's siblings took the matter to court. They accused Billy of hiring a spiritualist who had tricked their father into leaving all his money to Billy. Billy, eager to spare his family public humiliation, settled with his siblings, though he didn't give them much money. As it turned out, Billy had very little time to enjoy his immense inheritance. In 1885, just 8 years after his father's passing, Billy himself died of a stroke. Remarkably, in that short span, he had managed to double the fortune his father left him. Billy was adept at accumulating money, yet he had little desire to spend it. He often remarked that money made him anxious. He blamed his wealth for his declining health and frequently eyed his poorer neighbors with envy. The majority of Billy's fortune was passed on to his 2 eldest sons. First was Cornelius Vanderbilt II, who, due to his immense generosity, didn't significantly increase the family's wealth. Then came the second son, William Kissam Vanderbilt, who was far more interested in horses than in accumulating assets. In 1875, William married Alva Erskine Smith, whom many believed was solely after his money. Alva possessed an extraordinarily lavish taste. She compelled her husband to buy her a yacht, and she delighted in collecting mansions, eventually owning a staggering 9 of them. But that still wasn't enough. She desired something money couldn't buy: acceptance from New York's elite, who rejected the Vanderbilts as new money, their wealth not strictly accumulated through inheritance. Alva decided to buy her way into high society through architecture. She spent 3 years and $3 million constructing a lavish house. By this time, William and Alva had welcomed a daughter, Consuelo. Alva was an incredibly strict mother to Consuelo. She often used a riding crop to discipline her and made her wear a steel brace for posture. One thing Alva truly longed for was a royal title to accompany her regal lifestyle. Her idea was to force her daughter into a royal marriage, and the opportunity arose with Charles Spencer Churchill, Duke of Marlborough. The problem was the Duke also had ulterior motives. Neither Consuelo nor the Duke wanted to be together, but that didn't stop the marriage from proceeding. With this union, Alva gained a connection to royalty, and the Duke gained access to the Vanderbilt fortune to save his dukedom from financial ruin. Astonishingly, this marriage lasted 26 years. Just before Consuelo married the Duke of Marlborough, Alva announced her intention to divorce William Vanderbilt. Divorce was practically unheard of in high society at the time. She filed for divorce, citing her husband's infidelity. But some believe William was not actually unfaithful. Instead, they allege that he hired a woman to pose as his mistress. The question is, why? Apparently he thought it would help him escape his tumultuous marriage to Alva. William eventually remarried and moved to France, dedicating himself to the horses he loved so dearly. William truly disliked money. As he famously stated, "Inherited wealth is a real handicap to happiness. It is as if one has nothing to hope for, nothing definite to seek or strive for." So far, Billy Vanderbilt's children hadn't fared well with the family fortune. Cornelius II had given away too much, and William preferred horses over accumulating wealth. Then there was the younger brother, George. He had the idea of truly making a name for himself no matter the cost. George Washington Vanderbilt II wanted a big house, a really big house. He purchased 125,000 acres in North Carolina and hired an architect. He wanted a home with 250 rooms, sprawling over 175,000 square feet. It's no surprise, then, that the Biltmore estate remains the largest home in America to this day. But it quickly became a problem. Constructing such a massive home deeply cut into the Vanderbilt family's fortune, and maintaining it was anything but cheap. George and his wife Edith were overwhelmingly burdened by this enormous estate. Worse still, their lives took a tragic turn in 1914 when George died during a routine appendectomy. Suddenly, Edith was left to bear the weight of the immense house alone, including its financial responsibilities. Ultimately, the family had to do something most Vanderbilts would have turned their backs on. Edith's daughter, Cornelia, opened the Biltmore estate to the public in 1930, allowing anyone to glimpse the Vanderbilt way of life. Speaking of lavish homes, in 1934, Gladys Vanderbilt inherited a summer mansion called the Breakers. This 70-room, 138,000 square foot palace was built in 1895 for Cornelius Vanderbilt II, and Gladys eventually leased it to the Preservation Society of Newport County for just $1 a year. Gladys's younger brother was Reginald Claypool Vanderbilt, infamous for gambling away the family fortune and a renowned playboy. Reggie had an older brother named Cornelius Vanderbilt III, known as Neely. Neely spent lavishly just to maintain his image in high society. He boasted that he was the first Vanderbilt heir to diminish the family fortune. In 1896, Neely fell in love with Grace G. Wilson, and because his father disapproved of their relationship, they eloped. This infuriated his parents so much that they disinherited him. That meant when the time came, Neely only received $500,000 from the family fortune, while his brother Alfred received nearly $70 million. Alfred Gwynn Vanderbilt seemed to have a level head, except when it came to marriage. 7 years into his marriage with Ellen Tuck French, she abruptly moved out of their home, allegedly due to his infidelity. Despite his reputation as a philanderer, Alfred ultimately became a hero in 1915. He boarded the RMS Lusitania for a business trip to Liverpool, off the coast of Ireland. Tragedy struck when a German U-boat torpedoed the vessel, causing irreparable damage. The ship was sinking rapidly, and Alfred appeared destined to go down with it. As the ship sank, Alfred courageously gave his life jacket to a panicked woman clutching her young child. Over 1,000 lives were lost that day, and Alfred was among them. This meant one less Vanderbilt, but still no shortage of heirs. The Vanderbilt family grew ever larger, which meant more people inheriting from the family fortune. Since the new generation seemed particularly uninterested in running businesses, the money rapidly dwindled. The fortune primarily stemmed from the railroad industry, but America was changing fast. Railroads were no longer the sole way to transport people and products. In the 1930s, the Great Depression severely impacted America, and it was not kind to the Vanderbilt family either. By this time, Reggie Vanderbilt was already in his grave, a premature end due to his alcoholism. Now his wife and daughter, both named Gloria, had little money left to live on. His wife wasn't a Vanderbilt by birth, so she couldn't rely on anything from the family fortune. 18-month-old Gloria, the Commodore's great-great-granddaughter, was a different story. When she turned 21, she was set to inherit a colossal sum. The Vanderbilt family disapproved of Gloria Morgan, Gloria's mother, and her extravagant lifestyle. Reggie's sister Gertrude wanted custody of little Gloria, and so they all went to court. Given the Vanderbilt family's wealth and prestige, the media had a field day. One of the first to testify was Gloria Morgan's nurse, who painted a rather chilling picture of her. She claimed their home was filthy and even infested with rats. The takeaway from this testimony was that Morgan treated little Gloria with extreme cruelty. Another shocking testimony came from the maid. She infamously reported seeing Morgan in bed with another woman. The courtroom erupted, and the judge had to clear everyone out before proceeding. But perhaps the most astonishing testimony came from little Gloria herself, who stated she was afraid of her mother. Morgan's lawyers couldn't believe their ears. Gloria's Aunt Gertrude had coached her on what to say. Her plan succeeded, and she won custody. After the trial of the century concluded, Gloria Vanderbilt had very little contact with her mother. Furthermore, Aunt Gertrude wasn't exactly a maternal figure either. Gloria had to turn to her nanny for a mother figure. Gloria channeled her tumultuous childhood into a drive for working in theatre, appearing on Broadway and in live and recorded television plays. With an angelic face, she launched her career in fashion by modeling at just 15 years old. But she wasn't just a pretty face. She was also a talented painter, and eventually her work was printed on a line of scarves. A subsequent offer came to put her signature and swan logo on the pockets of jeans. At this time, the idea of designer jeans simply didn't exist. Gloria and Indian designer Mohan Murjani had the brilliant idea to make their designer jeans very, very tight-fitting, and they became a smashing success. After her third marriage, a 7-year union with director Sidney Lumet, Vanderbilt married Wyatt Emery Cooper. With Cooper, she had 2 sons, and it seemed she had finally found the right man. She was with Cooper for 15 years until he passed away on the operating table at 50. Ironically, he was the first young man she had married. On July 22, 1988, her 23-year-old son Carter jumped from their 14th-story penthouse apartment in New York. Vanderbilt's other son, Anderson Cooper, built his own success through hard work. Unlike some other Vanderbilts, he stated that his mother assured him as a child that there would be no trust fund. Cooper doesn't use the Vanderbilt surname and rose to success without it. He is living proof that the Vanderbilt family's fortune had run dry. There are several reasons why the Vanderbilt fortune dried up. Back in 1973, the Vanderbilt family held a reunion. As they looked around the room, they all realized an astonishing truth. Not a single one of them was a millionaire anymore. The Vanderbilt family had lived extravagantly for about a century. Some believe the Commodore, who started the entire Vanderbilt fortune, forgot to teach his heirs a crucial lesson. He made their lives very easy, but he didn't teach them how to retain wealth. Some say he should have followed the path of another wealthy father, John Jacob Astor. His idea was to establish a trust fund, split 50-50 between his children and grandchildren, and require a similar split for future generations. This way, the family learned how to keep their money. Another reason for the Vanderbilt family's collapse was their homes. In their heyday, the family hired the most sought-after architects. Whether it was mansions in New York or rural palaces, no expense was spared in creating unbelievably beautiful living spaces. The remarkable thing about those houses was that they were frequently empty. Their summer mansions were only occupied for a few weeks a year. When it came to their city homes, the story was similar. They struggled to pass them down to the next generation. It seemed no one wanted them. They built so much property in New York City with enormous sums, and by the 1940s, all of them were gone, leaving only rubble. Even when leaving this world, the Vanderbilt members did so in style and at a steep price. On Staten Island, there's a mausoleum that serves as the family's burial place. The architect who designed it was the famous Richard Morris Hunt, who drew inspiration from a French monastery. The Vanderbilt family cemetery and mausoleum remain a designated New York City landmark to this day. The story of the Vanderbilt family is a powerful reminder of the impermanence of power and wealth. It shows that even the grandest empires can crumble without preparation, responsibility, and the ability to adapt to the currents of history. Is this the most expensive lesson a once most powerful American family left for posterity? What do you think about the downfall of the Vanderbilt Empire? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next bizarre and fascinating history stories. See you next time.